Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Experience Podcast. It's just me this week. We're doing another commentary series. You guys have been loving these. Some of our most listened to episodes recently have been these commentary episodes, so we're going to keep doing them. And I'm going to continue my theme of trying to do the ones where it's the guest's first time on. I believe this is his first time. You know what? I didn't double check that. Maybe I should have double checked that. You know what? I'm gonna double check that while we do this little thing. Let's see. It is a nice rainy Sunday afternoon here, so you know, not that nice out, but that's why we're doing this. So, I'm scrolling through now. I think it's his first one, and we are doing Peter's first one. If everyone remembers Peter, he was on. I don't remember if I. He's a good friend of mine. I hope he comes on. I hope he comes back on. He actually I just contacted him recently, and he lives near me. But that's it. Anyway, we're going to be doing Peter's first episode. It's number 36, Education Rant. And reading the description here, it looks like we're going to be discussing the education system and I guess climate change. So I guess a little topical to the current climate, but you know what? It's always topical. People are always interested in bettering that. And we even, what's funny is, I guess because I put climate change in the description, there's a tag for the definition of climate change from the United Nations. So we appreciate that. That's identifying us as a real channel. So yeah, let's get into it. I haven't, just like with most of these, I haven't listened to these, since I guess I edited them years ago. This was March 2019. So I really haven't listened to these. I listened to like the first 10 seconds to make sure it plays right, but that's pretty much it. I do apologize on the last commentary. For some reason, my audio was so much lower than the previous podcast recordings audio. I tried to level it out now. It should be better, but we'll see. So let's get into the episode, though.
At that, and you already have everything uploaded from the past.
So it's also we just imported the RSS feed, and then so you can also be a donor. So you can click on support the podcast, and you can donate money.
Huh? Look at that.
So you can donate right there. We already have.
Pause on here. For our listeners, you can still donate. You can still become. I think you can become a member on Spotify. Let's see. Is there anything? Well. I think you can become a Spotify member. We are open to memberships if you'd like to donate. I don't know if you can do one-time donations. Hold on, let me click in the Spotify link here. I'm just doing everything as is. Also leave us a 5-star review if you can. That'd be great. So, yeah, okay. Let's keep going.
We already have a donor. Or
do you?
We might have two. I don't know.
It's like $2 extra dollars in your pocket a month. Big money.
Yeah. Well, they it's like 20%. Yeah. Wow. That's not that much.
No, but it's
considering we would have gotten.
It's an interesting. It's like internet platforms and internet creating. Like, let's say you told, like, someone with an agent that the supplier was going to be taking the 20% cut. Like somebody in a professionalized field.
Mm-hmm.
So like a comedian or something like that, and you told them that the supplier was going to take a 20% cut, they'd be like, "You're insane."
Well,
but
so
it makes sense because they
can
handle a lot more than suppliers.
And it's free to upload
right.
to use too. We
right.
don't do anything. We don't pay anything, and we would have gotten $0. So if you're just looking at like kind of an overall opportunity cost kind of thing.
No, and that's the thing that because this is happening on a lot more platforms than just. Is it recording?
Yeah,
okay.
We've been recording for that.
I'm making sure that. Yeah. There's a lot more platforms than just that one, especially the new ones, mm-hmm. where these companies are able, because they're the first out there, they're able to make these insane cuts, and they're providing so much. And then they also, there's nowhere else that you can go to monetize your podcasts.
Yeah, or at least
like
that provides us the same opportunity.
Yeah, because you could always take on the Audible sponsorship, like every other podcaster does.
We're working on it. So Anchor theoretically finds sponsorship for us.
For you.
That's another benefit.
So I wonder what it looks like on the sponsor side, and if it's like...
Pausing here for our listeners, as you probably know, we switched over... Well, Anchor got bought by Spotify. don't remember exactly when. It was a couple of years ago. So we don't have that ad revenue anymore because they changed their policy. So, but continuing to push the podcast and getting us more listens will get us to that point where we can, monetize again. So, just to let you know. All right, back into it.
You can buy bulk sponsorships.
I'm sure it's like that.
It's that nice middleman.
Yeah.
Calculations where it's like really streamlines the process.
This is the Experience Podcast with me and someone else.
I'm the someone else this time.
Yeah, there's no Connor. Connor's not here.
It's Peter.
He's very busy this time around. Anyway, yeah, Peter's back.
I still don't get why y'all don't just edit the song in.
Pausing here. You know what? I just heard that. It's Peter. It's not Peter's first episode. Man, I'm trying to remember when Peter's first episode was. Which episode was he on before? Hold on, I'm going back in. So this is not Peter's first episode. Let's see. Was he on? He was probably on one of these other weird ones. Was it on that one? Was he on the Hickey one? No. Lost episode staircase at yeah, I am looking through. Question to ask a girl you like. Was he on that one? I'm just I'm scrolling here. I'm like, which one was he on? Maybe next time we'll actually do Peter's first episode. Wow, I can't figure out if you know if you're a listener and you know. I mean, I could just click through these and figure out which one it is. But maybe you guys should. Should we just spend the next 10 minutes clicking on each one and going, nope, not that one, not that one. Maybe we'll do that while we're listening. But okay, let's get back into it.
So it's just a little easier. We could easily do it.
Like very, very easy.
But I'm taking the laziest route.
But that's true. So there's a small chance that I would possibly want an internship that eventually has me editing podcasts.
Okay.
And you sometimes need a portfolio, and you definitely need audio editing experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been in a pain in the ass talking about how this podcast might need to be edited.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a chance I might start editing this podcast.
You'd like to be our editor.
But it would have to be after April.
Okay, and we don't pay.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, it's...
Actually, you might need to pay us.
No, I would not pay you. I'm okay taking no pay. I'm not paying you for the opportunity. We
barely get paid. I mean,
there are enough chances for me to just randomly edit some audio.
Yes, that's true.
But the 538 News has an internship for their podcast that I've already applied for, but for next year, hopefully.
Pausing here. I don't know if Peter ever got that internship. I do know he never edited the podcast. I don't think there's one episode that we've ever published that I didn't edit. I'm trying to think. This one I know. I mean, I guess this wasn't Peter's first one, but I'm pretty sure on this one that there isn't an episode that I didn't edit. Yeah, so sorry, Peter, you never got, but still open if you'd like to contribute. If you're listening and you want to edit, by all means.
They have the same internship, and 538 News is like my favorite journalism thing in the world, and their podcast is one of my favorite.
Yeah,
so being able to work with them would be fantastic.
Well, what would you like to edit with this? I mean, so part of the reason we're asking for supporters is we do want to upgrade the equipment. We got a new microphone
that we're not using.
Yeah, this is the new microphone.
This was a while ago. They all got it.
Okay. Connor got it as a gift, I think, a few months ago. But
right.
Obviously, maybe we'd have multiple microphones. We'd have a whole setup,
a whole quality of life upgrades,
a whole soundboard setup. But we don't have any of that.
No.
So that's if people are wondering where the money's going, it's toward improving the podcast. It's not for Connor.
It's going back to you, basically.
It's going back to you.
When you donate to the podcast, you're getting. It's like taxes.
Exactly.
In a weird way. And I know how much everybody loves to pay their taxes.
It's essentially a tax on podcasts.
It's a podcast tax.
Anyway,
but it's not enforced. It's more like charity.
Let's go through your criticisms of the podcast here.
It's not a criticism. It's just that, I mean, in any conversation, there's dead space.
Mm-hmm.
And getting rid of that dead space, and then maybe also being able to edit out things that people don't particularly want. So I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Of our podcast.
they're not all
Okay.
the Experience podcasts.
Okay.
I listen to a lot of podcasts that aren't the Experience podcasts,
Yes.
edited podcasts.
Uh-huh.
And there'll be times where they'll reference the edits that happen inside.
Pausing here. I can't confirm what again. I can't confirm what Peter does now, but it's good. But he used to be a big podcast guy. I did just find out that episode number 19, "What Women Look For in Men," was Peter's first episode. And now, like, I'm already 10 minutes into this, and I'm debating whether to go back and listen to that one first. But we're already doing this one, so we'll definitely go back and do that one. Maybe the next commentary we'll go back and do number 19. But that was Peter's first episode. But yeah, wow. I'm just like I'm so deflated right now because I'm like I was like, oh, we're gonna start do Peter's first one and all that. Like that's not what this is. I'm sorry, but I don't mean to. This isn't knock on Peter because I was trying to do a Peter one. As I'm gonna keep saying Peter until it loses all meaning. I was trying to do his first episode, but yeah, okay. Well, we're doing this one. Okay, let's keep going.
Side of them, and they'll edit, for example, when somebody's looking up to an answer to a question, and it might take them 5 minutes to find it, and that dead space will get edited out. Or if you got to keep your brand, and so I listen to the Vlog Brothers podcast one a lot, and they're adults, and so they'll talk about adult subjects, but they'll edit it out or edit the worst stuff out because they're still targeting a younger adult audience. And they're the dads of the internet, so. I don't know what y'all's brand is necessarily.
We don't really have a brand.
No.
Brand is brand. Like brand, yeah.
It's brand name, and that's y'all's brand. The brand name is brand name. God, that's awful. It's like before brands were a thing, and it was just like bread.
Yeah, exactly. Those are the golden days.
It's minimalism. The 20s?
Yeah.
Really
Really up until like the 40s.
Was it? Yeah.
It's kind of the economy kind of fluctuated during the Second World War.
Well, yeah, and it was kind of reliant on refrigerated train carts because you needed it. Like food was the big branding thing. I don't know. I remember learning about this in like 10th grade and proceeded to forget a majority of it, which is unfortunate because history, especially American history, is actually still quite pertinent to my major, unlike a majority of people at Tech.
Yeah.
So it's okay for them to forget, just like I've forgotten a lot of calculus.
A lot of people find it interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true. At a STEM school, I was not expecting a lot of people to have interests in history and stuff like that, but I'm finding a lot of it, and a large knowledge of history too. So that's good. We're a bunch of nerds. Is the gist of it there. So that's good, I guess. It's good to remember your past, so you're not, it's the quote, doomed to repeat it or whatever.
Yeah, that's the cliche.
It's cool.
Anyway, let's go over just some housekeeping things.
Okay.
We're working on fixing the Apple Podcast feed. Well, Connor says he is. So if you're a listener on Apple Podcasts, I'm sorry. But you can definitely listen on Anchor. You can get the app if you want to. You can listen online, however you listen to it. Peter's already listened to several episodes. We're working on some sponsorships right now and some other podcast collaborations.
Ooh.
I won't say who or when or what or why.
They're still in the process.
There's very in the process, which means he's not responding to my email.
Damn.
He responded to the first one. He's like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And then I was like, all right, when do you want to do it? And that was it. So
Have you sent a follow-up?
No.
You gotta send a follow-up. How long ago did you send it?
A few days ago. So I'm giving it like
I'd say 4 business days is a good
yeah,
follow-up.
Yeah, so I'm waiting a little longer. I think it was like middle of last week.
Okay.
So I'll send it. I'll send a follow-up soon. Yeah, so we've been really struggling to get some guests on. As you can see, we've been cycling through. This is Peter's third time. He's got the experience hat trick.
I do.
Okay, pausing here. I thought this. Okay, look, this looks terrible on me because I thought this was his first one. It wasn't even his second one. It's his third one. Maybe I should. No, so the point of this is I do them kind of live-ish, but maybe I should listen to these before I do the commentary because I'm like, oh, I would have known it was not his first one. Darn. Well, it better be a good one. I hope you guys are enjoying it so far because this looks terrible on me. I'm just like, oh yeah, it's gonna be his first one, blah blah blah, and it's his third one. Oh, I don't even know what his second one would be. Maybe his first one wasn't the 19, was the number 19. Maybe that was his second one. I don't know. It was probably his first one. Wow. Hold on, now I gotta go back and so 19 I think was his first one. Um, yeah, I don't know. Okay, let's keep going.
Which is a good thing, it's fun. Like to be on this podcast.
You like to just talk about nothing.
I do.
For an hour.
Yeah, no, it's something.
You already do that by yourself.
I do in my head.
So at least this gives you a
I'm
platform.
not sure how other people think, but like I think in full sentences.
Mm-hmm.
Is that? Do you too?
Probably.
Okay. And I actually can't tell whether it could be one of those things where when I start thinking about my thinking, that's when I think in full sentences.
Okay.
And I could just think,
okay, but let's think about this
straightforwardly the rest of it. Like once I start focusing on my sentences or on how I think, that's when I start.
You form very defined sentences.
Yeah, it's weird.
Anyway, let's talk about women's basketball.
Ooh, yeah, there was that whole thing that's going on right now.
There's a whole thing that's going on. No, we don't have to talk about that if you don't want to. I figured it's a policy
I don't know
thing.
too much about it.
Yeah,
but
I
it
figured
is,
you'd be in on it because,
Yeah, so it's definitely been on my radar, and I've seen a lot of what Josiah's been saying about it on Facebook and Twitter.
And you guys, if you don't want to, you're not going to get too deep into it. But if you want to hear the full breakdown, you can listen on Peter's public policy politics podcast.
Throw back to
he's going to go into
episode 4 weeks.
He's going to go in depth on that.
Absolutely
Available as well on the Experience Anchor podcast feed.
That's one of those things. I don't particularly like journalism that is like it's got a place. But the speculative stuff... I was
going to say, speculatory.
Because it's like, all right, the things are eventually going to happen with this.
There's a lot of smoke.
And you can speculate.
There's a lot of smoke.
Right. And so I can only guess that there's going to be a fire from 50 feet away for so long until the fire actually appears.
And there's already now, you hate to talk about it, but there's a reputation with it.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't help that at Tech, we've already got that discrepancy between male and female.
Mm-hmm. Well, go ahead and bring it up for the people who don't know what we're talking about.
So the female coach for the women's basketball team was put on leave.
For personnel reasons.
For personnel reasons. No, personnel. Nothing personnel, kid. And they did not give any further explanation.
According to her.
Well, publicly, they gave no.
And according to her, publicly, they did. Maybe behind.
They didn't give her one either, which is a big deal. But might make sense for liability reasons, depending on how this goes out. But she claimed, if I have it correct, she claimed that it was a sexist thing. Or it was
kind of
discriminatory.
Yeah, so she's been, especially for the past few years, I think what she's saying is she's been making a lot of strong pleas to the administration department or the athletics department to make a bigger push for the women's sports, especially her team. Obviously, she's a coach for women's basketball.
Yeah, no, and they've been doing great.
So what she's kind of saying, and what I guess her attorney was saying is this was kind of to shut her up.
Yeah,
is what is allegedly happening.
Pausing here, the women's basketball coach, there was a lot going on. I don't know if it was all revealed in this podcast. I'll let you look it up on your own if you'd like, if you're curious. I'm trying to remember her name, but I can't. But there was a lot of drama around that. Very localized drama. No one most of the country cared about it at the time, but we did get Nell Fortner as the new women's basketball head coach, and she's been great. Georgia Tech women's basketball has been great since. So, but although it was great under the former coach, and the previous coach. But, I guess there was a lot of off-the-court type of stuff. And there was a rumor it was some on-the-court kind of stuff, I guess, as well. But, okay, let's keep going here. We're going to go... I'm trying to debate how much longer we should go. Maybe like 5 more minutes or so. All right.
Yeah, which just doesn't... It doesn't make any sense.
I mean, that's what they're saying.
Right.
That's what their camp is. And Georgia Tech refuses to put us in because they say they don't have to.
Yeah.
But for personnel leave.
For those who might be in a similar position to the coach, though, very smart move on her hand to immediately hire a lawyer and have the lawyer be the spokesperson.
I don't know if she already had a lawyer.
She might have already had a lawyer.
Again, she's been starting a lot of fires about getting the women's. And you think about it, we have so many what is the word? Publicity events for the men's team. We don't really have any.
Which, from an economic, unfortunately, men's basketball brings in more money.
Oh, it's not
so if you're looking at a business because public colleges are in that weird place where you are a public university, so you're state run, and yet also you have these profit driven organizations like your research and the school itself is usually fairly profit driven.
Most of our funding goes to research. It's like 70%.
Yeah,
it's not even close.
Yeah, we divert insane amounts of funding back to research. And so, and unfortunately, we're not like Alabama, where we have money flowing through our veins just because of a fantastic football team. So the athletics program is running on the slimmest amount of money you can.
And all the other sports make no money.
Right. And so
softball game has 3 people at those games.
Yeah. And so you have to cut where you can. And so you could make the argument that this is sort of inevitable. When you're cutting money at every place you can, you're going to make some unnecessary cuts or some cuts that look biased.
And I think one of the things that she pointed out, or at least her tweet pointed out, was her salary compared to Josh Pastner, who's the men's basketball coach. I think it's about 3 times less.
Pausing here, by the way, for listeners, Josh Pastner eventually also got fired, not for personal reasons or anything like that, mostly just because he had limited success, especially on offense for the men's basketball team. But kind of funny, we're talking about the Georgia Tech basketball programs, men's and women's, really went through a bit of a transition while I was there. So, okay, let's keep going.
Yeah, and they're public employees. Yeah, we could look up those numbers.
I can pull those up.
But
let's do an edit right here while I look up.
But
we can talk through this. Yeah, go ahead.
It's just a really awkward place because then that question does kind of come up. The ultimate question is Georgia Tech athletics making any decisions that are unreasonable?
Where do I find it? Where do I click?
Unreasonably biased against women. So if she has these situations where, she's able to show that just $500 of extra advertisement for a women's basketball game would bring in $1,100. Or, actually, this might be your best argument, is that it's sort of a self-feeding snake where when Georgia Tech doesn't give money to the women's athletics programs, it makes women's athletics less good because people don't want to come to the recruiting is worse when the women's programs have less money. It brings fewer women athletes to the program, and then thus the women's athletics brings in less amounts of money. So, not knowing anything about the situation, just from an outsider's point of view, I think that's where the best argument is. Now, her lawyer could have more data on that to say that, yes, there was absolutely discrimination based on gender that would be illegal under Title IX, and Georgia Tech would have a fairly large lawsuit on their hands, but you'd need some pretty specific evidence to be able to prove that.
I think we're going to end here. I don't know what ended up happening. I think she did sue the school. I don't remember how it ended up working out, though, but she is pretty much done. I think she was done. I don't remember her name. Jeez, you know what? Maybe I can find it right now. Hold on. Let's see. Let's see if I can find it. So, I gotta do this kind of backwards here. Okay. Let's see. We're looking it up. Michelle Joseph, yes. Worked there for 16 years. Worked at Georgia Tech for 16 years. Um, yeah, basically, the gist of it was a toxic environment. Basically, like a lot of verbal abuse, that kind of stuff. So, um, yeah. So, but Nell Fortner's been there, and she's been great for them. I don't, we'll see how long she stays, but yeah. So, anyway, we're gonna end the podcast here, and then we're probably going to do two more, just like we usually do. We'll do three parts. So thank you for listening, and I hope you come back for the next part two of Peter's third episode on the show. Okay.